Okay guys, this is the report from Gibraltar on the sinking of the OS-35 bulk carrier. Gibraltar calls for use of pilots, saying the master of the OS-35 misjudged his departure. 2.5 years after the incident, which caused the loss of the bulker OS-35, Gibraltar's Maritime Authority issued its report finding poor planning and that the captain misjudged the maneuver, resulting in the casualty. The report calls for considering the compulsory use of pilots for vessels in the anchorage, concluding a pilot very likely would have prevented the incident. The bulker was in the western anchorage at Gibraltar on the 29th of August 2022, taking on bunkers, as was common practice at the port. About 2 hours after the OS-35 arrived, a gas carrier, Seadog LNG, also arrived in the western anchorage for a layover. She was traveling in ballast without any cargo on board. The OS-35 completed her bunkering around 8:30 p.m. and made ready to get back underway, bound for the Netherlands with a load of rebar. Based on the analysis, the investigators concluded that the environmental conditions were not a major factor. The OS-35 recorded the winds as light and that a good visibility and clear skies was in the log. Based on videos and other data, the report concludes that the current was at 0.2 of a knot from the west and wind speed was 12 knots from the east-northeast. Gibraltar's regulations only require pilots for berthing and on-berthing and not for departing the anchorage. The report notes incidents are rare, but concludes planning for the departure was weak and not well monitored by the crew and the harbor controllers. As the OS-35 raised her anchor, the master had ordered dead slow astern, increasing to a speed of 2.6 knots, but became concerned that they were closing in on the Seadog LNG due to the effects of the maneuver, tidal flow and wind. The main engine was stopped. The master then ordered dead slow and then slow ahead, and the rudder was placed hard to port. The master later telephoned the chief engineer asking for increased head power to maximum, but the report notes it was limited by the rudder being hard over. The OS-35 closing on the Seadog LNG, the speed was up to 1.3 knots when it clipped the bulbous bow of the LNG carrier, putting a hole in the OS-35, which set off a series of events with the port ordering the bulker to ground and became a total loss. There were additional communication problems during the subsequent maneuvers. The master of the OS-35 made an error in judgment, which was not detected by the bridge team. Had a pilot been involved, it is considered likely that an alternative maneuver would have been used to depart the anchorage, which would have not included a prolonged astern maneuver. Had a pilot been aboard, it is considered very likely the collision would have been prevented. The report highlights that the Gibraltar Port Authority should consider introducing compulsory pilots for vessels departing the western anchorage. The report also recommends that the operator of the OS-35 review bridge team training and procedures for arrival and departure from the ports without pilots. What should have been a simple maneuver became one of the most significant accidents Gibraltar has ever experienced. It took over a year to clear the wreck of the OS-35, and there were oil pollution impacting the shores of Gibraltar and Spain. It seems like there was a series of bad judgments made here, which led to the sinking of a ship. Fortunately, I don't think anyone was hurt in this, but they lost the ship, they caused an oil spill, and none of that is a good thing. But still hard to believe it took a year to get that ship out of there. I know it's not easy, but a year is a long time, that's for sure. Alright guys, there it is. As always, thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. If you're new here and you like this kind of thing, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you on the next one.